Checking if we're streaming. Okay, looks like we're up. Cool. Okay. We are up and streaming. Right, hi. We are online. Tell me if the audio is coming through okay in the chat there, just to make sure the levels are fine. And what I'm going to do tonight is basically a Q&A, and also we'll get on to looking at this over here, the Yamaha Reface CS. This is the CS version of the Reface synths. So basically, yeah, we'll check it all out. Now, I think we just need to wait a little bit longer to see who's going to come on. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to mute the audio for a sec and just put on the synth. So we just mute. So we've got the Reface working. Beautiful. And we've got, maybe we should just let people on Facebook know that we're on. Just a quick message on Facebook to see who else is watching. Okay, we're live streaming, messages up on Facebook. Cool. Thanks, Wagyu, for the feedback info. Alright, so ask questions away if you like. Questions about any of my videos that I've done recently, or questions about anything that you think I might be able to help answer. Or if you want, tell me to go straight and we can have a look at the Reface CS. Just having a look at the PDF manual here on it, and it's pretty interesting. So one of the things I love about this is it's got quite a unique oscillator section here, and it's labeled type, and basically it starts down the bottom. It's got a multi-saw, and basically the texture knob adds a sub oscillator. So let's have a listen to that. Hang on a sec, let's turn LFO off, filter off. So the texture adds the texture thing here is different for every single different oscillator in the type section, so it's good to learn what they all do. The mod layers multiple sawtooth waves, basically giving you a super saw. So let's have a listen to that. It's like a trench. That's pretty cool. So yeah, the next one up is pulse, and that just sounds like an all pulse wave. Then the texture knob changes the pitch of the second square wave. So that's pretty cool. And then you've got the mod which changes the pulse width. So for all the Nick Bats out there, this is for you. So yeah, it doesn't quite go all the way. It looks like some pulse width mods actually just go all the way, so you actually can't even hear the square wave anymore, but this one, it stops from doing that. I don't know if I like that. The next one up is oscillator sync, and basically that produces a voice having two oscillators with a hard lock sync between oscillator 1, and you can get some sort of intense harmonics out of this, making it possible to create, you know, sort of distinctive sounds. Now, let's have a listen. And the texture changes the pitch, and the mod changes the degree to which the pitch is changed, so it's kind of like a depth. You get that cars sound on here. So that's the oscillator sync oscillator. And the next one is ring modulation. This is going to produce like a ring mod, and the texture in the mod changes the pitch of oscillator 1 and 2 respectively. So what would be nice if this synth had is some way to modulate that. Now in the LFO section we can modulate a little bit of it, so we can modulate bit of modulation there. And you can also use the filter, of course. It's pretty crazy. So that's oscillator, sorry, that's spring modulation. And the last one is the top one, which is, I mean, what would a Yamaha synth be without frequency modulation, or FM? So this is literally an FM synth. Now the texture sets the degree of the modulation. If you know anything about FM synthesis, you've got you know, carriers and modulators and things like that. So you'll find that the two oscillators are modulating. I think there's a bit of tameness in that one. So yeah, that's a pretty deep oscillator section on the CS, I find anyway. So let's see, we've got 3 people watching according to this, but then there's 2 people watching according to that. Anyway, whatever. What do you guys want to see on the CS? Something cool and funky? I mean, it's one thing that I like about this synth is these controls make it very immediate to change. Now, this thing doesn't have a patch memory built into it. You can store patches through an iPad app, but yeah, there's no patch memory on the synth itself, which kind of sucks, but maybe that's a good thing. It's a bit like some of those analog synths that are out there. Right. What else can we do? We can have a listen to the filter, I guess. So remember, this is a digital synth, so how does this filter sound? Let's have a little look at the manual to see what sort of filter it reckons it's got. It has, yeah, it's a standard low pass filter, 24 dB per octave, so it's like a Moog filter. Now just be careful of your ears here. I'm going to try the resonance to about halfway. And then we're going to go 3/4. Actually, I've got a delay turned on. I'll turn that off. Do you reckon there's a bit of stepping in that? Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's stepping through the harmonics or if it's actually stepping because it's digital. I don't know. I got a feeling there might be some stepping in that filter. When you move it fast, it doesn't seem, but if you very minute movements, you can hear it. Yeah, there's stepping in that filter. That's a shame. You'd think these days with resolution of electronics they wouldn't have stepping anymore. Anyway. Ah, yes. The synth fingers. Yeah, I mean, look at my big chunky fingers on this synth. But yeah, I can't remember that Super Booth thing. The mechanical actuators. Was that Yamaha? I do remember someone doing something. That'd be cool to see. I'll have to check out YouTube for that. Okay, so let's, getting back to the filter, let's go to full resonance. Let's see if we can blast our ears. Just take your headphones a little bit away from you for a sec. Oh, oh, listen to that sine bass. Oh, there's some very, very nice sweet spots in here. Oh my goodness me. That's a good sine wave on that. I mean, Yamaha makes really good sine waves because they're really good FM people, so yeah. Anyway, the filter's okay. A bit raspy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit raspy, it's kind of harsh. Bit of filter envelope. I don't know, I just don't find the creaminess in that. I think it's a little bit edgy. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that filter, to be honest. With the filter envelope, you can... The envelope generator on this is a bit weird. You've got kind of an amplifier generator and a filter generator, and it situates between the two. And the manual reckons... Where are we? They reckon it's a balance slider. So basically you change the degree of the filter or the amplifier, e.g., and I guess the middle is off for both. Yeah, it kind of sucks because you can't have both. I don't know. That's a design fault, I reckon. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out later, mate. Definitely be checking that out for sure. All right. Are we bored with the CS? Do we want to try something else? Or do we want to talk about something else? Do you want me to get some crazy effects going on this? It's got a little effects section here. What does a phaser sound like? If anyone knows me, I like my slow rate phasers with a big depth. It's a quite harsh sounding synth, isn't it? Maybe a bit of... I've got not an AN1X, but I've got an AN200, which is the little groove box, and it's got exactly the same synth engine in it as an AN1X. And this does sound pretty similar to it. But yeah, I don't know, like, it's got a few sections on here which aren't on the AN1X. It's supposed to be modelled after the CS series synths in some degree, but I really don't think they've modelled anything. I just think they've whacked these things together. Yeah, phaser's okay. It's a typical digital sounding phaser. What does the chorus sound like? It's quite a nice chorus. I don't have any problems with that. When you go, I think the depth goes up, it turns into a flanger. Yeah. So there it hits the flanger side of things. Yeah, I've heard that it hasn't got any CS80 heart in it as well. I was under the impression that it was... I didn't know it was CS01, but I was under the impression it was the mono CS series synth, so obviously a CS1 is. It could have been any of those, CS10, CS15, but definitely never had anything to do with CS80. Although the ring mod oscillator in here, you muck around with the pitch bend, you can kind of get it sounding CS80-ish. It's a bit of a stretch, but you can, because it's got a filter on it. So, yeah. Let's turn all these effects off. So ring mod was, which one again? I always forget. Ring mod was the circle looking one, that one. A little bit of delay on that might make it sound a bit better. You can get quite Vangelis-y type ring mod sort of sounds out of that. Now, if you know, like one of the songs he did was multi-track suggestion, and it's kind of got like a really screeching ring mod sound through that song, just randomly pops in, and all throughout the song it sort of whistles at you almost. You can get a very similar sound out of this for people who want to recreate it, and it's kind of upper high, it's sort of like, maybe not so much delay. Anyway, you can definitely get that sound. I haven't got the audio in front of me to do it. Yeah, the teasers were... Yeah, I remember when these things came out. There was two things I didn't like about them when they first came out. One was how they kind of didn't really say what type of CS synth it was, and everyone was kind of assuming it was going to be a CS80, but it wasn't. That was the first thing that annoyed me. The second thing that annoyed me was the price. I mean, when they brought these things out at first, they were pretty expensive, and I just didn't see the value in them. So I never bought one. It wasn't until, I think, almost 18 months after they were released that I got one, and it was because they were discounted. And they were quite heavily discounted too. It was almost like half the price that they originally came out at. And then I felt, yeah, that's okay, that's a reasonable price now. Because I do like the AN1X, AN200. I like the sound of that. Yamaha makes some good synths. I've got a DX7, so, you know, there was no reason why this wasn't a viable option. But, yeah, it's good just to muck around with. Like, I've used this in a few recordings, and it's very immediate, very immediate. Anyway, that's the CS. Is there anything you want me to show you on the CS? It's got portamento here. I mean, you can get some really sci-fi sounding stuff. I'm sure you've got these two oscillators up the top. You've got the oscillator ring mod one, and you've got the FM one. You could get some really big sci-fi 1960s, 1950s film stuff in this. So yeah, it's definitely a Yamaha underneath this. You can, you know, if you use synths a lot, like I do, and I'm sure you do, you can definitely feel the Yamaha in this. Let's put a bit of chorus on that. It's very sci-fi now, isn't it? In the portamento mode, it's mono, so every time I press a key, it's cutting the envelope off and resetting. Ooh. Anyway, that's the ring mod sound. I actually think it's quite nice. I don't like the square wave on this at all, and the sawtooth is a bit harsh. I should put it through a little oscilloscope to have a look, but yeah, listen to the square wave on this. Let's get this thing tamed. And no modulation. Turn off the EG. Okay, and go to mono. Kind of has a bit of a buzz, doesn't it? You can take the buzz out with the filter, I guess. Yeah, see, when that filter's all the way open, it gets really buzzy. Yeah, that's a nicer sounding. Let's go to the lower registers. Yeah, see, this is where digital synths. You ever get in those arguments with people about digital synths versus analog? You know, I don't like getting in them, but this is where they let you down. Digital synths, where the resolution of things like the filter, the resolution of all of the notes pitched across all the octaves, this is where they let you down, because you start getting aliasing. Like, there's aliasing on that bottom. There's definitely aliasing on that, and that's not good. You shouldn't have aliasing. They shouldn't allow the notes to go that low for you to hear aliasing. I'm not going to go up to the top, but there's also aliasing right up the top as well. Welcome to digital synths. I mean, look, yeah, processors these days should be able to handle aliasing, but you know, depending on how they build this and what processors they put in it, who knows? Rightio. We've been going for about 30 minutes, and we've just been chatting about this CS synth. But we don't have to chat about the CS synth. We can chat about anything. Last week I was streaming. I chatted about I actually showed an Ableton project from start to finish, which was a track that I'd made, and showed all the steps, and you know, I was just crapping on about that for a bit. And this week I thought we'll pop a bit of hardware under the camera and play with it, and you know, it's a good discussion. I can do something different every week too. I'm more than happy to do it. Just trying out these live streams just to see, you know, what people want me to do on them, and it's a little bit extra to the videos that I put up every week. So we'll see how we go. Yeah. Back to the square wave. Ugh, crazy. In terms of polyphony, I think this has got 10 voices. Let me see what the manual says. I'm pretty sure it's got 10. Don't think it's going to tell me. Eight. According to the manual, it's 8. 8 number of polyphony max is 8. Okay, so it's quite interesting. The Reface CP and the YC also both have 128 voice polyphony, whereas the Reface CS and DX only have 8. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was 10, whereas the AN1X 10. That might be where I'm getting confused. Yeah, I think the AN1X is 10. That would be why. Anyway, the looper is a pretty cool thing. So what you can do is loop. Let's clear that. Do it again. Anyway, that's the looper. With the looper, you can keep adding to it. So this is something that I like about it. So all right, so we're going to try that. Anyway, you get the idea. The loop is pretty cool. I'm no good at it, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed when I just read that. I thought, this thing's digital. I mean, like, gosh, technically, it's just playing wavetables or samples or PCM bits. You know, it's surely, I don't know what processor they've put in this thing, but yeah, surely they should be able to get more polyphony. It was actually some of the things that I didn't like about some of the Roland boutiques as well, is they actually had really low polyphony as well, and Roland were claiming that it was because the ACB technology was very CPU intensive, and as a result they had to keep the polyphony down, and they had their reasons, whereas Yamaha just went, here's the synth, and yeah, there's 8 voices, whoopie-dee-da. I mean, a lot of people would say 8 voices is enough, but in the analog world, yeah, but this is digital. It needs to be more than 8, I think. Absolutely. Yeah, and the 4 operators on that DX, that was it was actually a bit disappointing, you know. I mean, what did the Volca FM has 6, doesn't it? And it only has 3 voices, but I think it has 6 operators. So technically the Volca FM is actually even better than the DX. I don't know. One thing I did like about the DX, the Reface DX, is the editing interface that they invented on that, and that was a step in the right direction. So I believe when they brought the what was it called? That big workstation synth they brought out has got a really good FM editing interface on it too. So a lot of people who are into FM synthesis love the new Yamaha synth, whatever it's called. Yeah, Montage. That's it. The one with the big knob. But yeah, the DX introduced a better way of crafting between your modulation, you know, your carriers, operators, that sort of stuff. So yeah, the Mod X is nice. I like that. I might actually get one of those. I really do like the Mod X. It's a good synth. I had a friend who's got one here, and it's impressive. Very impressive synth. Yeah, the Formant stuff, I don't really use it, but yeah, it's handy. The synth that really surprised me recently was the Roland System 8, and they brought out a firmware update to that, and that thing has got FM in it. It's got 2 different types of FM. It's got a linear FM and a normal, you know, carrier operator type FM. Plus, it's got Formant and all the plug outs and all the standard System 8 synthesis in it. It's bloody deep, that synth. I mean, it's digital, but it's good. It's one of my favourite synths. You know, I don't know why they're not making rack versions of stuff these days. I think they're making desktop versions, desktop modules without keyboards, and they're making keyboard synths, but they're not making the rack stuff. And I like the rack stuff because you can put it in a rack and it's out of the way. So yeah. Yeah, I reviewed the JX3P plug out when it came out. Actually, Roland actually gave me an advanced copy of it to review, and I did the video on it on this channel. And I'm a big fan of the JX3P synth. I used to own one. Sadly sold it, but I actually know the sound. I know the sound of the Juno. I know the sound of the JX3P, and I also know the sound of the Super JX, because I've got an MKS70 here in a rack, and all of that sort of era of Roland synths, kind of like mid 80s to early 90s where they did their analog stuff, yeah, they've done a really good job of the plug out. It actually sounds exactly the same. So if anyone wants to whinge about it, let them. It's just as good. The oscillators on the JX3P were always pretty stable, so it wouldn't be hard for a digital synth to emulate that. It's kind of the older Roland stuff which I reckon they have more trouble with like the SH101 plug out was never really, in my mind, perfect. But when they brought the SH01A Boutique out, they improved it, and then they've done something to it. I've actually got a System 1 with the SH101 plug out in it, and I've got the Boutique SH01A, and I've played them both together, and they sound different. The SH01A Boutique sounds better. Yes, you and me both. Have you seen that new TC Electronics chorus pedal that they brought out? There's people are actually getting them now. I think they've released them. I've pre-ordered one. I haven't got mine yet. It's yeah, I don't know where it is. Haven't been told that it's on its way or anything. People in the UK or in the EU are getting them, but I don't think anyone in the US is getting them yet. And I'm not in the US, as you can tell by my accent. I'm in Australia, so. Well, yeah, with the mono versus poly, they proved that they could with that SH01A Boutique. I mean, that's a mono synth, and they brought that out with poly. So it's just a matter of them updating their firmware. I definitely know that they could do it. It's just, I don't know why they don't. Maybe they're busy with other stuff. They were quiet this year in NAMM, Roland. They were busy last year, but yeah, they were quiet. And I don't know what's going on. I think maybe they're sitting back a bit at the moment and waiting for the sales to sort of sink in and see where their products are getting out there. But who knows? Superdoof is coming up soon, so they might be releasing something there. Two of those pedals, eh? They're not that expensive. I think it was like 79 US or something. I forget now. Yeah, I mean, I was doing that with two phaser pedals the other day, and wanting to pull them apart and put jumper wires across the LFO part of the circuit. But I'd love to do that sort of stuff. With the Juno chorus, it's a Dimension D algorithm / circuit, if you want to call it. So if you get a Boss MD500 pedal, which I've shown on my channel before, they sound very, very similar to a Juno chorus. Not exact, which is the true aficionados will say, oh, it's not the chorus, because a Dimension D, it's not a Dimension C. There's all different dimension versions, I guess. But you're talking about the stereo side of it. That actually has a really good, it's digital, so you can modulate anything in it, and it has a really good stereo modulation thing in that pedal. So the MD500 is pretty expensive pedals. Got a lot of other stuff on it though. But you can get it sounding pretty similar to a Juno. Well, don't forget the original Juno chorus was analog, and it used, the analog chips, analog circuits. So Roland and Boss released analog chorus pedals over the years, and they never ever released a chorus pedal that was the same as the Juno, which I don't know. I think they did, but they took. I think if you ever listen to the Juno chorus on a real Juno, and I'm not talking about a Juno 106, I'm talking about like a Juno 660 chorus. That to me they're more real. It's the chorus effect, and I reckon they've added a slight delay effect, and there's also the actual tone that comes out of the Juno, regardless of the chorus or not, has also got some beefy bottom end EQing going on the DA side of it. So a lot of Roland synths do this. It's their trademark. So if you add those three elements to the chorus sound, you'll have a better sounding chorus. So you technically could buy one of the old analog Boss chorus pedals with a delay, knowing how to set that delay because it's pretty tricky, and then add the bit of EQ. So there's people that have shown how to do it. Yeah, the poly version of the SEO1. Yeah, well, I mean, the SEO1's basically a Moog synthesizer that Studio Electronics were just redoing Moog stuff for Eurorack. Yeah, so I don't think Roland would do it, but apparently the I didn't know it was that chip, but yeah, you know more than me. Apparently with the chips, they can make them. They just don't want to because it's not like they wouldn't be able to sell enough of them. It's like with Behringer, how they are remaking some of the Curtis chips. It's, you know, it can be done. They just need to do it. Why don't they make a chip that has the analog circuits in it and then build it in something else so that you know, maybe they should have put it in their boutiques and, like you said, allowed the audio input to go out through the chorus effect. That would have been nice. Absolutely. I mean, the chorus effect on this is not bad. That's quite a nice chorus. I mean, look, if you ever want your sound to sound a little bit more rich, chuck a chorus on it. I think they recreated the circuit, but not the chip. I don't know. When I get mine, I'm going to open it up and take photos of it. So I want to see what they've done, because I've got photos of inside a Juno, of course, and I want to see what they've done. You know, they might have just recreated the chip circuit itself with electronic components, or they may have copied the chip. I don't know. They haven't actually spoken about it much in terms of, like, from an engineering electronic point of view. They've talked about it more from it's you know, it's a recreation of the Juno chorus. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard demos of it, but the TC pedal definitely doesn't sound the same, and it goes back to what I was saying before about how Roland, I reckon they definitely had some sort of delay effect on the end of that chorus, or maybe two effects layered. I don't know, but they definitely had something there that you could hear it, and then there's that EQ that they put on their DA. So if you do get one of these pedals, remember, at least put a bit of EQ on it, which kind of sucks, but you can get EQ pedals and just plug it into an EQ just to beef up the bottom end of it. And it's not a lot. You only have to probably boost it by a couple of dB, and that gives you that Juno boost to the bottom end. Yeah. Well, I mean, I ordered mine through Sweetwater, so, you know, I don't think it's available. Let's have a look. It's called a June 60. It still says coming soon at Sweetwater, and there was a company in, I think it's either the UK or the EU, that were selling a few of them, and I went to their website after this guy told me that he bought one, and he got one in his hands and showed a photo of it and everything, and they don't have them in stock anymore, so obviously they fulfilled all their pre-orders, and they're saying that it won't be available till July for the next load. So I wouldn't be surprised if mine won't come until July, June, July, somewhere around there. But I don't know, you know. But you've got to be, you know, you've got to be on a pre-order list at the moment. From what I've been told, there's been a lot of people that have ordered this thing. Thoman might have them. Let's have a look at Thoman or Toman. I always call them Thoman with a lisp. June 60. Yeah, so they're saying 7 to 8 weeks. So that kind of coincides with what I was saying. So the people that got them, I don't know if they were being honest either. Yeah, Gear for Music, I think, was the place I looked at. In fact, I think it was Gear for Music that actually said it was July. Let's have a quick look. See, then, because everyone's back ordering this thing, they're now saying delivery is 28th, 29th of August. So last time I checked, it was only a few days ago, it said July. June, July, it said. So, yeah. You know, it's going to be a long way, I think, before we get them. One of the things about living here, where I live in Australia, is that we don't get absolutely anything for ages after everyone else across the other side of the world gets stuff. So, for example, when they brought the DeepMind 12 synth out, it took about 6 to 8 months before Australia got its first delivery, and you know, so that came out just before Christmas in the US and in the UK, and then about July, August was when I got mine, and I was pre-ordered. I was actually emailing Yuli direct, whinging to him, and he was, you know, he was talking to me, he was being nice and everything, but yeah, it's something that frustrates me about this place, that we just don't get anything for ages. It's only because we've got small population down here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. They can chuck this stuff on a plane. You know, there's only a few of us that want it. Look after your customers is what I say. Oh, you've ordered a VC. Oh, you lucky duck. I want to get one, but I just don't know when they're coming, and I kind of like to try one out first. I mean, with the DeepMind 12, it was probably one of the first synths that I ever bought where I hadn't tried it first, and in that case, I was lucky because I was taking a bit of a risk because we didn't know how good it was going to be. But by the time I got mine, I could have cancelled it. There was 7-8 months worth of people YouTubing it, so I was fine. But with the VC340, I believe the European and UK people are going to get theirs first. And so if I'm going to pre-order one, I will get it through Thoman or Gear for Music or one of those, you know, places. But it's going to cost a fortune in freight. So do I want to pay the freight, or do I want to just wait another 6 months and wait till they come here in Australia? So we'll see. Yeah. There's two kind of problems with importing stuff in Australia. So one is the cost of freight, which is obvious because we're so far away, and it's extremely expensive to freight stuff, especially big heavy synths like the VC340. It's going to be pretty heavy because it's wood and metal. It's like the Deep Mind. They're pretty heavy. And the second one is we pay. We've now got a new tax system here where we have to pay GST on anything that we buy overseas, which is 10%, plus we have to pay import duty if it's anything is valued over 1,000 Australian dollars. So in the case of the VC340, they will be priced under 1,000 in Australia. I think they've already got them listed for pre-order, but I just don't know when they're going to have them. But in my local distributor, which is a company called Store DJ, VC340, yep, 989 Australian dollars is what they're asking for pre-order on that, which seems pretty pricey compared to what AUD to USD. So 989 equates to 700 US dollars. So what does Sweetwater want to charge for a VC340? See, $599. So that if you add, so it's $600 US. If you add 10%, then you're at 660. And then when you equate 660, you're at 930. So the $50–60 Australian different would be the covering of their freight costs. So it's priced about right. They're not too much out. So yeah, I think with that one I'm going to have to wait for it to come. It's definitely going to be. It's my sort of, you know, if you know me, it's my sort of stuff. I like that sort of gear. I love my Strike-Fet, which is a digital emulation of a string machine, and I also have the boutique version of the VP330, the VP03, which is actually pretty crappy actually. So I'm actually really looking forward to this coming out and trying it out, chucking a phaser pedal on it as well. It's proper divide down, so technically it's unlimited. You know, you could hold all the keys down on it. Yeah, looking forward to that. I think that's going to be there's a couple of Behringer synths that I'm really looking forward to, actually. The Pro 1, when they bring that out, I reckon will be awesome, because that is basically a Prophet version. It's like a mono version of the Prophet 5. And they've got that other thing that they brought out that starts with a C. What's it called again? Crave? Is that what is it? Yeah, Behringer Crave. There's not much information on that other than what was at NAMM, but if you put this Pro 1 with a Crave, there's some really cool things that you can do with them together. And you know, the price is right for those two. From what I hear, they're going to be pretty affordable. So I can see myself having a Crave and a Pro 1, and they're using the modular CV connectors and getting those two to sort of play with each other. And I definitely will be getting the VC340, but I think I'm going to wait for it to come here first, and that way I don't have to pay freight costs. I think I can actually get an estimate on the freight. It'd be interesting to see what it's worth. VC340. So I've got to add it to my basket, and then I have to go to the checkout. No, I don't. I've got to go to... I don't know why, but Bowmen think it's only going to cost 50 euros to ship it. So technically, if I bought this thing from Bowmen, it's only going to cost me $809. That is that's quite a lot of difference. That's probably even worth me looking at that. I definitely know that there'll be a 10%, there'll be an $80 charge when I import it. So it's going to be about $100 cheaper if I import it, I think, which is not bad. Yeah, I don't mind too much about the form factor of the Crave. It's I know it definitely looks like a Mother 32 clone. I mean, like, someone's actually done a thing on, I think it was on one of those Facebook groups where you can see the two next to each other and they've drawn lines to it, and just about everything is the same. But it's actually not the Crave on its own that kind of excites me. The Crave has kind of like a sequential circuits or Curtis type underneath it, and you put that with the Pro 1, and those two together in a little, you know, control voltage marriage are going to be insane. That's kind of where I'm going with it. I think on its own, it's a bit like, kind of like the Neutron, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Bowmen is saying 506 euros or 809 Australian dollars is their, I don't know if that's quite right. Yeah, about 810 Australian. So, what's it? Did you say you were in Japan? If you lived in Japan, you'd have access to all the Roland stuff before the rest of the world. That's one. Ah, you're in Switzerland. Okay, cool. I've been there. Yeah, it's nice in Switzerland, although a little isolated. It's kind of like an isolated part of Europe, I feel. It's not. That's probably an attraction to a lot of people, though. It's probably not as busy as, you know, some of the other parts of, like, Germany and France and England and that. So it's probably a nice change than living in England, I guess. But there are parts of England that are isolated too, so I don't know. One of the things I loved about Switzerland was the cleanliness of the place. It was very clean place. So very organised and clean, and I liked all of that about it. I haven't been there for a long time, so that may not be the case anymore. So yeah, are you going to go to Super Booth? It's a bit of a hike. Across the border. Where is Super Booth this year? It's in the same place, isn't it? Berlin. Yeah, it's not massive difference. I mean, I don't know, if you've ever been to Australia, you'll know all about travelling distances. Cool. All right, well, we've been streaming for about an hour. I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. And for those people that have just recently joined, hi. But yeah, you're probably joining a little bit late. I'm going to try and stream at the same, it was an hour ago. So whatever that time was, an hour and 15 minutes ago, I guess you'll call it. Whatever that time was in your local time. And I'm going to try and do that every Saturday. So it's nearly, well, it's 11:14 p.m. here in Australia. So I don't know where it is, what it is over in your part of the world. Let's have a look what my little thing here tells me. So it thinks it's 8:14 in LA, 11:14 in New York, and 3:14 in the afternoon in London, which probably makes sort of Central Europe kind of a little bit later, maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So yeah, next Saturday, what we'll do is during the week, we can have a discussion on either YouTube or on my Facebook page or even on my Twitter handle, and you guys can let me know what you want me to talk about in the live stream. And yeah, until then, catch you later. And if you want me to say something Australian, I'll say crikey. See you later.